What's up, dudes? Max here. So Evo is starting today, and with it a bunch of announcements and something that I finally get to talk about and goes a little bit beyond the Project L impressions we had from the previous video, and that is a character announcement. The fourth character that was officially sort of like ready and playable in Project L, and it was Yasuo. And I don't have an extensive history of this dude. I know he was probably one of my picks in the weird Project L / League of Legends video of like which character should be a fighting game character. I'm pretty sure this guy was in there in some way. I don't know if he looked like this, but Yasuo was a playable character in the build that we played, and he was playable with the rest of the roster, which we talked about before, which was Darius, Ahri, as well as Echo. So, the nice part about Yasuo that I can't immediately tell you is that in terms of character polish, I think he was likely the second best looking character, just visually and animation and moveset wise, of the entire roster, which is only 4 characters outside of Echo. I was really impressed with the way Yasuo actually looks. But I don't think that's the thing we want to specifically talk about. I think you guys want to know everything about gameplay. And between all the teams that I kind of tried and the characters that I messed around with, the squad that I put the most time into was definitely Darius x Yasuo. And these two characters, I think, ended up gelling with me the most of the entire roster by the end of the evening, or a couple of days. So let's talk about his gameplay, because obviously it's a samurai wielding swordsman. He uses his sword as general strikes throughout any of the gameplay you guys are watching. This is sort of B-roll footage that the developers had provided to us. So while I can't like break down every single thing in here, I can tell you a bit about his special moves and kind of what he does and what he's good at. So this guy's interesting because Yasuo is a stance character. Of all the 4 characters that are in the game right now, he is 100% the most kind of complex and will 100% require a lot more time to sort of get used to his overall game plan, his movement, and everything like that, because inherently Yasuo's movement isn't great. His normal speed is also pretty good, and his normal range is also pretty good. His damage is kind of low. However, that is accompanied from the fact that his special attacks, as well as his stances, are all complementing those things that he's missing. So his movement is solved from some crazy stance stuff, and his lower damage is alleviated from the fact that he is a combo god. There's a lot of things in this game where you have to figure out the routes of certain combos, and in a lot of versus games and team games, for people that don't know, there's like a combo limiter system where it's like, okay, so the combo just doesn't work here anymore, right? Granted, everything I'm saying here is from an early ass build of the game, so this stuff could definitely change. So what I like about Yasuo is that he was the first character in this roster where it's like, I think I can push this farther and farther and farther and actually farther, and then you see the devs do something that goes even further, and you're like, wow, I'm actually going even further beyond. Because in some of the other situations, especially with Darius, it was like, I think I've kind of like maxed out the combo here, maybe I can throw an assist and get this there. Granted, his damage was also massive. Yasuo was the opposite, where it just felt like I can just keep going with this stuff, and it was kind of the sky's the limit in many ways. Because of that, he's a very fun character, and from the bit that I played and all the engagement I had with the rest of the roster, I did find solving his game plan to be really interesting. However, it ended up being something a lot different than I thought it was. In my opinion, you kind of like see a swordsman and you naturally think, oh man, this guy's gonna go in and chop you up, right? Like Halmaru style, go in and start whooping that ass. Weirdly enough, that isn't what he's inherently super good at. At the end of the day, it felt like he's actually more kind of like a defensive character. Granted, every character in the game does have mix, and he does have some pretty interesting like jump mix-ups and cross-ups and things like that. But it felt like he's a bit better when the opponent is coming to you. Because when you're going to the opponent, some of his normals are a little weird. And trying to get like decent cross-ups and stuff like that, he has this crazy pizza cutter move in the air. All this stuff to work in a way that is specifically focused on going in and getting offense doesn't work great. One of the best things he has is a natural pass-through, where if you press stance on this guy, which is just one of his like neutral special buttons, he puts his sword away, and you can sort of dash forward or backwards or move a whole bunch with him across the screen. screen. It's able to be canceled, so you can go from stance into movement into stance into movement. It looks really cool. It's one of the best ways to move around with him as well. And it allows you to literally dash through the opponent. Now, this is great in a versus game because, or a versus style game, a team game, where you can move through the opponent and call the assist on the opposite side. It also works incredibly well with handshake tag, where you're flying through, you handshake tag at the last minute before an overhead or some wilding thing over to Yasuo, and now you're in control of him, and he's going to cross you up with some of his nutty mix-up stuff. It's great. There is a little bit of similarities, though. Like, I do kind of feel that there's a one special move he has on his alternate special move button, which is like a charging vertical slice, and then you can do it 3 times, and he sort of goes zip, 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 right? And it's a good, like, ender tool. It lets you combo into it naturally, combo after super, or combo into super. And it very much reminded me of, like, Red Ranger in Power Rangers. He's got a special move that's like that, a really great ender move that's like whack, 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 and it sort of solidifies the end of the combo, or the part where you combo into your super. Pretty much has something very similar to that. But I will say I had the most fun with this character of all the characters, and granted, he looks super friggin' cool. I think they've made an amazing, like, samurai character. Well, I was kind of taken back by, at the end of it all, when you're getting used to the game and how it works and how it feels, that he pretty much is kind of defensive, and he plays a little bit better, at least in my opinion, when he's kind of a defensive character. And that initial play style to me screams a bit more, in my personal experience, like Hibiki in CVS2, popular SNK character from Last Blade. Yeah, it kind of is like that. He's got some sort of similar moves where you can sort of put the sword away and slap them down and do big, huge wall spikes and all this stuff. Anyway, I'm sure the gameplay that's in the background will do a significantly better job showing off all of the crazy stuff, because if there's one thing, this character had the most moves out of his stances and his special moves and deviations of those moves than almost any character. He also had a projectile, like a dimension slash, sort of very similar kind of thing. It was all over the place, man. He also had a unique ability that no other character in this build had. He can combo into like an OTG tornado, like whoosh, like kind of like Halmaru tornado. And on the way down, there was a little bit of opening of like hit stun, so allowing you to combo directly into your level 2. So he could naturally DHC into himself. And that wasn't something that seemed to be available on any other characters. It was kind of unique to Yasuo. So if you wanted to, like, meter dump with this guy and drop all 3 of your bars with him, you can do a lot of damage. And in any situation, even if you had a low combo at the start or a light starter or whatever, something that doesn't do a lot of damage, if you comboed into your level 1 and then immediately into that level 2, it did a lot, man. It was almost like guaranteed to do 60 to 75%. So at that point, you were sort of doing Darius damage. But it was expensive. It cost a lot of meter. Either way, I think this character is genuinely fun, and he's the one that of all the roster that I still think about, like, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that. The coolest part about him is that the more I'm watching some of this footage of the devs play, the more I'm realizing in moments where I felt like I was kind of stuck and I couldn't do anything, you could actually go into stance and dash around. The freedom to go into stance and do crazy stuff is kind of always there with Yasuo, and that is genuinely fun because it's going to take a while to figure out what's actually good, because granted, this neutral's a little weird. It's a little weird getting used to, well, how am I going to deal with all these really offensive opponents? How am I going to go in and get damage? That's good. It's a very interesting take on what a samurai class character sort of is in a versus fighting game, and I can't wait to play more. So I'm going to leave you guys with the rest of the matches from the Yasuo B-roll footage we got. Hopefully we're going to be seeing more of this stuff very soon at EVO, and I'm going to be streaming almost the entirety of EVO on my Twitch channel, and we'll come back with some, obviously updates and news and information and hype reels and all that kind of stuff of the things that happened at the show. So until then, I got to give a big shout out to RIOT once again for giving us the opportunity to check out this stuff early and provide this B-roll footage and information about the character. So thank you guys very much, and providing the high quality footage means a lot if you guys haven't turned on 4K. Anyway, take care, dudes. My name is Max. I'll be back with more Project L updates as soon as possible, and I'll see you next time.
Face the wind! Stand there right! Or break! Stand down. Face the wind. Face the wind.
No, you don't. Now get that away. Give me your heart.
Headless. Yo! You fall! Chase the wind. Feel its spite!
Sweet dreams.